We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
Welcome to the RedAss Podcast, your home for Aggie sports, barbecue, music, and much more. And now your hosts, Rob White and Roy May.
Howdy, guys. Welcome back to the RedAss Podcast. Today is Thursday, October 9th.
I need more energy from you than that. Welcome to the RedAss Podcast.
Did you have a Red Bull before this?
I did not. No, I just been having a really good week.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'm Rob White, fighting Texas A class of 2014.
And I am shot out of a cannon, Roy May, fighting Texas Aggie class of 2015, former milkman.
So we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, and I'm just kind of open with this. I know how you felt about it, considering what your profile picture was, but yell leaders in black uniforms this past week.
I tell you what, I cannot tell you how many people reached out to me about that. Former Yell boys and just Aggies in general. When I first saw them, I was old man yelling at clouds. We don't change tradition. That's bull honky. But a couple of things, maybe a few things. One, it's not my show anymore, man.
Right.
Two, when you talk about the buy-in from the entire administration, athletics department, everything, it was amazing. So
yeah,
it was funny. Like, what was it? RCB that came out and like had photoshopped him in black.
Yeah.
But the more I looked at it, and then the more I saw people's reactions to it, right?
Yeah.
It was just so overwhelmingly positive. And thankfully they didn't go with the RCB one with like a maroon ATM. Like they went with the white.
I think that worked better because it matched the uniforms better.
Right. So I am a man of tradition, right? I'm a red ass Aggie. I don't like Aggies fear change. We don't like it. If we've done something twice, we'll do it the rest of our life. But I can be on board with it if Operation Blackout is a thing moving forward.
Which, according to Elko, that seems to be the case.
And again, they don't do any of these uniforms or any of these things for us. And that's the biggest thing for us to remember. Now, this is stepping on tradition a little bit. I will say that. I get it. That's stepping on tradition a little bit.
I get that.
I almost would have liked if they could have like done black overalls for Midnight Yell, but then stick with the whites, like because those black overalls would have been really cool. But a complete waste of money. Those things are so expensive.
You're not wrong.
You know, it's not my game anymore. This stuff is for the kids. It's for the athletes. It's for the students. And quite frankly, I was really surprised how positive the response was on TexAgs. Because
me too.
It came out, and I was texting my friends. I said, I'm going to go over to TexAgs to see if the servers have melted yet.
But
you're going to have some people that disagree. I get it. They're just entrenched in old Army. We always have to do it the exact same the same way we've done it, and that should be the case for so many things at Texas A&M. But also, man, it's just a yell leader outfit, and it's one game.
And it was one of those deals that people really appreciated seeing. I think just across the board. I think the big thing. We can obviously go into depth, and we will a little bit here on how the game kind of flow was, but there is no denying that the energy in Kyle Field was absolutely palpable. And all you had to do, like I went back and watched parts of the broadcast. So right before that fourth down, when they had Mo Bamba just rolling after the false start, and it cuts initially to the broadcast team when they should have kept that camera out in the crowd because I went and watched some videos afterwards. I couldn't imagine how incredibly loud it was in that stadium in that moment.
Completely insane.
Yeah.
Like completely insane. Browning talked about it this morning on the fan show. He said he tried to look at it from it. I didn't go to the game, but he was there. And he tries to look at it, from it. Every time he goes to a football game, it's not just about the football to him. It's about the environment. So when he goes on the road, he tries to really like drink it in and get into what they do. He talked about, Florida sings Tom Petty and just different places do different things. And he said he took a moment to look around. Everybody's in black waving white towels. The DJ's fired up. The students are fired up. The yell leaders are in black. Like Rev has an eye patch. It just, and he said there cannot be a more intimidating environment to play football in than this right here.
Right.
And he's trying to be as objective as possible. And it's easy for all of us to say that because we're Ags and we think Kyle Field should always be the hardest place to play. You have to win in order for it to be hard
Right.
because you can have a really loud crowd every single game. If you lose, it's just not intimidating. They're not like opposing teams coming in aren't going to be concerned about the noise or any of that crap because they've worked around it. But it's like the conglomeration of the crowd and the DJ and like the new lighting schemes and the paint
Yeah.
on the field and the jerseys and the helmets, but it's also about the product on the field.
Right.
You will always ramp it up, knowingly or not. When the product is better, Kyle Field is louder. It's like Aggie basketball. If you win, we will come to Reed.
Yeah. And a lot
We'll
of
always
times.
be loud at Kyle. We'll
Yeah.
always be loud at Kyle. But man, when we're good, we're really loud.
Well, and I think the big thing that always drives, and it's not much to argue either, it always comes down to how is your defense. If your defense is getting in on off the field in rapid fashion, and based on these last 2 weeks, we can now look at the crazy stat line of 1 for 25 on third and fourth down.
4%. Like you
Incredible.
better not get into third down against us because I don't care who you are. Apparently, we know how to scheme for it.
Yeah, and looking ahead at Florida, that was one area they have struggled in is third down conversions. Even as far as going into this past Texas game, which I'm sure we will get into all the fun details on very shortly. But just starting this whole thing off talking about environment, Kyle Field was on another level again, and
Oh,
these night games have been huge for us. Absolutely
yeah,
huge.
yeah. Kyle Field and the 12th man was on display for the nation.
It was
And
again.
evening games are primetime slots. I know we always talked about the 2:30 SEC was the important one, but relative to college football fans, and people are going to tune in because a lot of it's the same. Like they're hate watching. It's the same reason I watched the SIP Florida
Right.
game. Like every snap of it. It's when is A&M going to step on their toes and screw this up? When are they going to shoot themselves in the foot? When are they going to collapse? But what happens is they tune in and they go, crap, A&M's a really good football team.
Yeah.
So again, it will always boil down to the product on the field.
Right.
But Texas A&M is a little different because you can stink and we'll still show up. Which
Right.
is not the greatest culture in the world, right? Like we're rewarding them for being mediocre, but this season is different and it feels different. We can talk about that in a little bit.
Sure. Let's go ahead and jump into the matchup we had with Mississippi State. So, first half a little slower than we would like again, but you make your second half adjustments. You come out with your hair on fire. You go get some scores. You force a key turnover at a very important time to turn around and score on that play, and then proceed to only allow a single touchdown on the back end. And let's face it. Not quite garbage time, but certainly one that was not as impactful, right?
And still covered.
And still covered, right?
Hey,
What do we
and
say? Good
what
teams
we
win,
talked
great
about
teams
last
cover.
Yeah, it's what we talked about last week. This was such a massive line,
Good
and
boy.
everybody's jumping all over it. And the line pushes up from like 13 and a half to, didn't it happen like while we were on the broadcast? It
Yeah, it went
jumped
from
to
13 to 16 and a half.
and like that is a massive number in conference. I don't care. I mean, unless you're Vanderbilt of old or probably Kentucky of this year, it's yeah, boy, the Mark Stoops era.
Booty. Booty.
Um, but what a massive number to cover. I don't care if you're at home. Take off the 3 points for being home. You're talking about covering 2 touchdowns against a Mississippi State team that, I mean, we didn't think was that bad.
No, we didn't. And I think that's a key factor, right? Like, I want to see how State continues. I'm really curious about all these SEC teams this next week. And when we get into those matchups, it'll be curious to see. But looking at obviously Georgia going to Auburn, how's that game going to look,
Good
right?
old-fashioned hate, baby.
Yeah, good old fashioned, hey, great rivalry. I'm going to be curious to see how Mississippi State handles Texas in a couple weeks. I'm going to be curious about how a lot of these games pan out because you're winning them, and you ask yourself questions like, man, but what about this issue? What about that issue? But then those same teams are doing well against your upcoming opponents, and that's a good sign.
Well, I tell you another one. And again, it's so wide open this year, and I love that. I feel like this is where college football is headed because of NIL.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
these
parity.
kids, Yeah, these kids that were sitting on the bench to play for Nick Saban at some point. I heard, I think it was yesterday, I was on the road heading to B-Dies. That's why I was talking about it. These kids that used to sit at Bama and wait for their turn and play special teams, they're going somewhere else to start. So when that Bama safety or corner goes down, that 5-star isn't the backup.
Right.
It's interesting to look at it, and I hope it's like this. I love shootouts. I love uncertainty. Another one to look at though is Bama Mizzou. That's going to be a huge game.
No
I mean, we've
question.
got Mizzou on our schedule. Yeah, they're Bama's going to be in Columbia just like we'll be
Yep.
for that game.
It'll be
I'm
big time
looking
out.
at that Bama Mizzou game. I'm really curious about it. Uh, Again, but just looking across the nation, I'm curious about. It's like so many games are going to set the scene for this, and I don't like.
Yeah.
Technological issues, we're back. So another one to look forward to is, we're talking about just things being wide open moving forward in college. Another big game is going to be Bama Mizzou because you have what is a much improved Bama team after what we thought after the first week, right? At the first week, we go, oh boy,
Yeah.
DeBoer's had got an issue. And Bama has turned it around. There's a ton of talent there. He's a good coach, but they're
Yes.
going on the road to Columbia, just like we're going to be doing. So that's another game to watch. I mean, this thing is going to be wide open. I don't think anybody gets through it unscathed, except for maybe us. But there's so many different parts to watch this week within conference. I like it's a fun slate, but it's also an educational slate, and that's my biggest. The Red River Shootout
Yeah.
is is
Gonna
OU
be-
for real? Does Texas have any fight in them left?
Yeah. Does Mateer play? Right. I mean, we're gonna have to
Is their
see.
play?
Yeah.
Well, and the line is what's weird is the line has come out, and the line is the line regardless of whether or not Mateer plays, which
Right.
is weird to me because that tells me either Vegas says if he plays, he's going to be hurt, so he's not going to be very effective, or maybe we don't think Mateer's as good as we thought he was. So I'm not sure I understand the logic behind that's the line whether or not Mateer plays because he's a clear upgrade over their backup.
I think so. And I mean, the reality is looking ahead at that game. I mean, this is make or break time for Texas. I know there's a lot of people that have been saying that this game doesn't necessarily end Texas's chances because, that first loss was out of conference, but you're sitting at three losses at that point.
It ruins your. It's unless look if you lose this and you get to 3 losses, you're not going to the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be plenty of other 1 and 2 loss teams that are going to be far more deserving despite what's on your helmet.
Yeah, and it's not just. There's a handful of reasons why I say that. One, because I think this team came in with such confidence. I think that if they lose this to a rival, right, big time rivalry game,
Oh,
Red River
sure.
Shootout, it's not just man, do we have the talent? It's you're going to start losing the locker room.
Yeah.
And once you lose the locker room, we've seen it. We've seen it with a Kyler Murray and Kyle Allen debacle. It's going to be an issue for Texas. And yeah, 3 losses, only 2 of them in conference. Okay, yeah, but they could run the table in conference and make it into the playoffs. But with 3 losses and 2 of those in conference, what on earth would tell you? Now they haven't played the game yet, but what on earth would make you think that they could run the slate given what they have left? What they have left is no small feat.
No, they have a bunch of tough road games ahead of them.
You beat
And the
Georgia.
fact is, and their home games aren't going to be easy either. So at the end of the day, looking ahead at Texas's schedule, I mean, they have to play flawlessly down the stretch.
They have got to win this game.
Yes.
If they lose this game, they're done in my mind because they still have Georgia on the schedule. And
Right.
Georgia isn't like the Georgia of a couple of years ago, but they're still really damn good. And that's still Kirby Smart on that sideline, and that's still the talent that he recruited. So
Yeah.
man, Texas better get something going on Saturday, or this season is an absolute bust, an abject failure, and it could not happen to a nicer group.
Okay.
But
So
I don't want to sit here and focus completely on the Sips.
yeah, I was going to ask. So your thoughts? What were some of your big takeaways from the state game? What did you like?
299 yards of rushing.
Yes,
You automatically like that.
immediately. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Specifically, Ruben Owens' performance. We've been waiting to see that. And he, when he got his touches, he was electric. But Moss went out, looked like he was a little dinged up. dinged up, and then also a little bit of him throwing up. You don't throw up from like an ankle or a knee tweak. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Like he's admitted to it. Like he has anxiety and it affects him from time to time. And I'm telling you right now, if you've never had like a panic attack or you don't have anxiety, it's hard to explain how crippling it can be to you both mentally and physically.
Hmm.
But Ruben Owens coming in and just basically taking over the show was fantastic. I'll be interested to see how we divvy up the touches moving forward. Another one, this was a big one. We had 9 penalties, right? Still way too many penalties,
Way too
but
many.
we had 7 in the first half, 2 in the second.
And that is a big adjustment.
To me, that's a big adjustment. And look at the halves. We scored 7 in the first half. We had 7 penalties. We had 2 penalties in the second half. We rattled off 24 points, right?
Pretty good.
Look what we can do when we're not shooting ourselves in the foot. And that would be something that if I were showing them film, and I'm sure they're doing this, just go, like the Leonardo DiCaprio, like lean forward and point at the TV. Like, see, that's what we can do when you don't commit stupid penalties.
Right.
See that right there? Hey,
Yeah.
look, all of you look. So I I loved that. If it had been 4-5 or 5-4, you're just going, yeah, great, 9 more penalties. But to clean it up in the second half, against an officiating crew, because I think we said it, when we played Auburn, I felt like the SEC told the crew a little. And again, it sounds tinfoil hat stuff, but there are statistics to show that we consistently get hosed by officials in conference. But to
Especially at
see,
home, for
yeah,
whatever reason.
but against a crew that was just going to call the game, that's all they did was call the game. And to go 7 in the first half, 2 in the second half, that's a stat that I don't think a lot of people have talked about, but that was really big to me. And then the other probably big takeaway is 479 yards of offense versus 219. You win a lot of football games with that disparity.
Yeah, you really, really do. And I think this is the other side of the coin. Two other little statistical things that I really like seeing in this game. Number one, our third down conversion rate, which is up from last week. We went 7 for 15. Not great, but you're batting about 500, maybe a hair under. Once again, stay at 1 for 10. And then the big one here for me, time of possession. We held on to that ball for 38 minutes to their 21.
That wins you a lot of football games too.
Yes, it does. Holding on to that ball, controlling the flow of the game, finding those scoring opportunities, and I mean, frankly, breaking the will of state. I mean, they were punting with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They weren't even trying.
Tell you what, when you roll up 300 yards on the ground, you tend to rack up some TOP.
No
Uh,
question.
and one other, a couple, I can probably give a million shout outs. But Tori, when you work with 10 tackles, Cassius Howell is an absolute
Animal.
psycho.
Animal.
I love it. I love his story that we knew he was good, but they have just completely unleashed the beast, man. He
Mhm.
is a bad man. And with a DJ Lagway that we know is not 100%, he might be in for a really long day.
It could be. So definitely looking forward to getting into this Florida matchup here, but excited about the win against Mississippi State. You're sitting at 5-0. You're in a great spot,
Yep. Strongest start since 2016.
doing wonderful, and you just got to keep that train rolling with this game against Florida coming into town.
Well, oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, well, so we're 5-0, best start since 2016, just reeling them off, right? You're feeling good. You get one more home game before you're gone for a month.
Yes.
Playing a Florida team who that was an emotional win. It took a lot even though it was at home, Texas was fighting for their life, right?
Oh yeah.
Didn't always look like it on every down. And that Texas offensive line is putrid.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note with Florida, since we're starting to kind of talk about that matchup here. I think with Florida, something to keep in mind is this is not the same Florida team we saw over the course of the first portion of the season. Namely, because what did they do in that Texas game that they didn't do previous? They ran the ball and they ran it effectively. They looked good doing it against what has been touted as one of the best defenses in the country.
And this is where I'm going to eat some crow. They're not.
Apparently
I
not.
thought Texas was going to have one of the most elite defenses in the country. All the talent told you so. Everything you saw with your eyes last year told you so. Man, they are not. They're not a great defense. They're not a crappy defense, but
Elite is not the
They
word.
are, oh no, they are absolutely not an elite defense. I mean, maybe they can put in an elite performance on Saturday in the Cotton Bowl, but they better figure something out because they are not they are getting shoved around on both sides of the ball. So then the question, kind of remains. Florida had a lot of pressure up front, right?
Yeah,
What they get home on Arch like 4 or 5 times, something like that.
yeah.
So a lot of pressure up front, but again, we also know that the Texas offensive line kind of sucks. Like
It's
they're just
certainly
kind of bad.
Well, it's certainly not what A&M's is, so I don't anticipate a similar effective pass rush. I think that's something to keep in mind. If we can find a way to move those guys around and create lanes for the running game, I really, really like our chances in this game because that will open up the game so much against that defense.
Well, my biggest thing is Texas couldn't really get pressure on Lagway. At least it's not as much as if they were an elite defense, you thought they would have, right?
Right.
We have an elite pass rush. We have an elite front seven. Not like we have elite players at every position, but the way they are playing together makes them an elite unit, right? It makes them
Yeah.
an elite front seven. And you look at it, you got Cassius Hell as a menace. You got Sanford playing crazy. Scooby might come back. Torian York just had 10 tackles. And then all the other guys that are playing the roles in the front seven in the rotations, you got Regis, who's a monster.
Yeah.
So you look across the board at the front seven, and then you look at if you watched the Florida Texas game with like you really watch it with football eyes. Florida's offensive front is nothing special. I mean, they're not bad by any means, but again, not an elite front five, offensive line. You've got DJ Lagway, who part of his 5-star ranking coming out of high school was his mobility. He's hurt, so his mobility is hurt. Then it comes down to the Florida receivers, namely Dallas Wilson. Can our secondary hold up to the test? And then you go, okay, well, they have so far
They have.
against some good receivers.
Yeah. And I think the matchup I'm most looking forward to is a little bit of a revamped rivalry from Texas high school, and that will be Lagway versus York. People have been talking about that a little bit because that was a high school rivalry between those two guys. And it showed last season during that game. And I'm excited to see how that kind of pans out this week. So, I mean, the reality is it's a much tougher matchup than I would have given it credit for a few weeks ago.
Okay.
But you got to like A&M's chances in this game, and generally that seems to be the vibe across college football. It's that Florida is improved, but how improved are they really compared to A&M, especially going into a night game at Kyle?
Well, and we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. I mean, or is Billy Napier even going to be at Kyle when they show up?
He
So,
is.
so again, he's turned it around enough to still have a job. Me, preparing for and getting ready to come to Kyle Field. Uh, my biggest thing with that is whether it's Billy Napier or somebody else. What have we seen consistently this year out of Elko? It's for me, it's second half adjustments.
Yes.
You start slow, either offensively or defensively. Coming out after the half, things change. Things have looked different.
Yeah.
If I had to pick between Billy Napier or Coach Elko, who makes the better adjustments? To me, this is a no-brainer. I think it's Mike Elko, and that might be one of the biggest keys of the game. If Florida comes out and is hot and we have a slow start, I think we've seen enough so far to know that if the adjustments are made, the talent is there. We're not worried about the talent. We're not having to scheme
Yeah.
around talent or around injuries. We have the talent. We just got to adjust the scheme, and I think we've seen that, and offensively too. But I'll just call it Elko, just defensively and offensively, making those adjustments. I mean, 7 points in the first half against Mississippi State, and you end up covering a 16.5 point spread. Okay. Well,
I mean, it just proofs in the pudding. We've seen it. We've made the proper adjustments, and we've found ways to win games in multiple fashions. And really, you run away from Mississippi State in that fourth quarter and just drag away from them. And that's what you want to see in games. I think you break these teams down. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see something similar with Florida. Tight ball game. Maybe early on, maybe we're a little slow out the gate, but I think as the game goes, you got to like the defensive depth, the defensive cohesion to create chaos in the Florida backfield, to create chaos on the Florida line, cover up what we see getting into the secondary. And just so long as you're able to move the ball and do what you've been doing, do your job.
I think there's a question. we get the ball, or even if we don't get the ball, even if we get the ball the second half to start. So let's say they get the ball, maybe even they drive down the field and kick a field goal, which, but going back to Mississippi State, 83-yard drive and you only get 3 points out of it. So
Good.
again, defense buckling down. But does A&M offensively, do they come out and try and light it up and start fast? Or do we go, we never start fast. Maybe we should just pound the rock a little bit. I don't, I'll be curious to see what they decide they want to do. Like, do you want to test their secondary, like right off the bat? Or do you just want to, like, let's set some tempo, let's set some
Yeah.
pace, let's show we're going to control this game. We're going to cram it down your throat. We'll throw it when we need to, but we're not going to throw it further than like 10 yards. Very conservative. So I'll be interested to see which one they do, which one College Klein kind of decides, right?
Right.
And again, but you're not scripting the first 50 plays, so that can change anyways.
Yeah.
If you try to run it and you're not running it, you're going to have to throw it and try and open it up. And then is it, and this is assuming we win, right? But
Right.
these are questions assuming an Aggie victory. Is is the headline on Sunday morning Marcel Reed smokes Florida secondary, or Ruben Owens gets home 2 or 3 times?
Either him or does Le'Veon Moss do it? Does Daniels do it? We don't know. That's the beauty of the
Moro,
rotation.
EJ Smith.
Yeah. I mean, there could be a number of guys that can all contribute. And I think that's been the beauty of this team is you've seen, yes, like there's been the two consistent attacks on the passing game. We've seen that with Concepcion, with Craver, but you've seen other guys contribute and make big strides in the game. You've seen multiple different running backs make huge impacts in the game depending on the situation. So I think just having such a deep stable and these guys don't know who's going to get after them. It all depends on who's going to be the guy on the right day. And we'll see who that's going to be on Saturday.
And that's what we've seen. And again, it's not just winning in multiple ways. It's different guys on the offense step up, different
Yep,
guys on the defense step up. This isn't an offense or defense heavy team. It's incredibly balanced.
it is.
I think that's why there's so much optimism. It's balance. We're
Right,
winning in different ways. I mean, who are you? We talked about this before. Who are you going to cover when we drop back to pass? You
right.
better hope you can get home. But even if you try to get home, he does have legs and he is shifty. That one play where he ran to the left and like just full blown stopped and watched the guy go in front of him,
Yeah.
that was hilarious, amazing, and I couldn't have done that at my most athletic part of my life ever in a million years. All right,
Yeah.
I got a couple questions for you.
All right.
So Cassius Hall obviously having a ridiculous year.
Incredible.
But when you talk about the rest of the front seven, do we feel like they're equally as reliable as Cassius Howell, or is it a one-man show with them setting him up? I discuss.
Well, I think the nice thing is you've seen some pretty good bouts. Yes, of course we've seen Cassius Howell just go off and really get after in the sacking game. But I mean, even Damian Sanford contributed, and he was having a couple tackles for loss. Even the blanket was getting in there and making some moves as well. So I mean, the reality is looking across this front seven in the defense, they find ways. I think the last thing you want to see is Cassius Howell running you down. I think that's the absolute last thing you want to see. But the reality is, if you hyper focus on him, there are multiple options to get you.
Yeah, I think that's where it is. I just like this team is. I think across the board we're balanced. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously you're going to have weaker parts relative to other stronger parts, but I think the
Special teams.
talent that what's that?
Special teams.
Yeah. But I
At
mean,
times.
even like specifically just within a defense,
Yeah.
the safeties may not be as good as the corners, so you got to
Sure.
cover. But it's not such a disparity to where it was like last year, where the way they were calling defense was because they had to cover for somebody, right?
Mhm.
So you're able to call, and once you have the freedom to call anything in the playbook,
Yep.
that makes you an incredibly dangerous football team. Offensively, defensively, it doesn't matter. We want to zone, we want to pull, do we want to throw, do we want to run, do we want to do the short throwing game, do we want a linebacker blitz, do we want a safety blitz, do we want to go man, do we want to go zone? When you have the ability to throw just about any look in the playbook at a team, these are college quarterbacks, man, and not all of them are going to get drafted kind of thing. I think DJ Lagway's really good. He's still a
Yep.
little young. But when you're able to throw multiple looks on defense, and when you're able to motion, and thank God for all the motion, by the way,
Motion is big.
and
Yeah.
misdirection. But when you're able to throw all that kind of stuff at the other team, at that point they have to become very reactionary. And if you're reactionary, you're screwed. If you're not proactive, you're done.
Yep. So plenty to look forward to with this 40
Just my 2 cents.
just 2 cents. Did you have the other question, or was that the big one?
So this is one, it's a little weird. Well, yeah, not that one. I'll go to another one. From what you see, and I get that we're undefeated, right? I get it.
Yeah.
This is one of those things. We were at our team meeting on Tuesday, like our in-person team meeting in the office. And what was it? Somebody was complaining. I think they were complaining about the Yell Leader uniforms. And my buddy, buddy and teammate Adam, he's sitting there and he's not huge into college ball. He's a massive Packers fan. He's Sundays you can't talk to him. The NFL's on. He's one of those guys, right?
Right.
He's the NFL version of me.
He's locked in. Yeah.
But he's sitting there, but he's lived here long enough. And he goes, "You guys are undefeated. What are you complaining about?" And it's like just to have that outside perspective to look at what we're picking on. It's so nice to be picking on little stuff like this, right?
I would rather nitpick anything after a win than having to overanalyze why we lost the game every day of my life.
Yeah, then go, why do we have no run defense? That's kind of a big deal. Yell Leader outfit's not so big of a deal.
More so, for sure.
So it doesn't, I don't really know how to phrase that one. I'll move on. Do you truly think from what you've seen that this team has, and I think I know where this is going to end up going, but do we have the killer instinct?
I think you've seen it, at least in part early, right? I know early season deals, but I think the big thing to keep in mind that has really kind of leaned in for me is one, we haven't really been affected by the injury bug, knock on wood, but we've been healthy, we've been aggressive, we have largely gone after games, and all you have to do is watch what's going on with Elko during these episodes of The Pulse, listen to the conversations from the players, and just the vibe of the team. This team is different. There's something very different about this team. Like, yeah, there's always the feel good stuff and whatnot. Like a lot of these guys do have that killer instinct. It feels like they're ready to come straight down the pipe and punch in the mouth. It feels like a true to form SEC caliber team of what we've expected out of the top level teams in the SEC in terms of attitude.
Well, and I think, when we think of killer instinct, what do we think of? Linebackers, edge rushers, right? Maybe a safety that likes to come down and fly.
Offense too, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Offense too. The final drive in Notre Dame, that is killer instinct.
Yeah.
That is absolutely killer instinct. Keeping piling on points in the second half, Mississippi State, that is killer instinct. Put them away. Auburn was a killer instinct in the sense that just close the door in the game. That's killer instinct. So I think this team has it, and I think it goes directly to culture. It goes directly to culture, and it's the culture that Elko is instilling in this program and has already instilled. And I know we beat this drum every week, but it's been forever since we had it. We've had a bunch of coaches talk about it, but we didn't have it.
Well, I mean, Jackie Sherrill had killer instinct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, R.C. Slocum, especially in his early part of his career, had killer instinct. You talk about
then he quit running up scores.
Right. So, I mean, the reality is that's the type of guy you're seeing out of Elko. And I think the benefit of it is the fact that you do have a head coach who is primarily a defensive mind, somebody who understands they don't score, they're not winning.
Yeah.
And if we do have to score, then let's go out there and light them up. It's like we got to do what we have to do. And we've talked about it, multiple different ways to win games. And for the first time, you saw a truly dominant performance out of A&M, especially in that second half against Mississippi State. And if that carries over into this week and the following week and the week after that, look out. A&M's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's completely natural and normal to think killer instinct, Mike Singletary, right?
Yeah.
Lawrence Taylor, but Tom Brady, killer instinct.
Absolutely.
And offensive lineman. Tight end, Burkitcher, basically doing the tush push. This team for each other. They block, the receivers block on the outside. It's just, there are so many little things that we have not seen over the last few years that we are seeing right now, and it's playing out in real time. And I'm going to enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Because the sky is the absolute limit for this team in my mind.
I mean, everything's in front of you, right? I mean, everybody talks about the idea of controlling your destiny, right? Well, you truly do control your destiny at this stage. If you're an Aggie, right? You're undefeated 5-0. And I'm gonna float in one little extra question because it got pitched online. I thought it was interesting. Um, would you prefer to be in the first round and have a playoff game at home or have the bye week?
I mean, you'd always love to have a home playoff game because we've never had one here, but I don't have any problem with a bye because that means you're higher seeded, which means you had a more successful season.
And I do agree with that point. Completely agree with that point. Based on what I saw last year, and I don't know if this is going to carry over to every season, of course, because it never does, but the teams that had that first round of playoff games got that extra week of getting feel back because once again, they're already on a break because you're waiting until the playoffs kick in. Well, you win that first game, all the top seeded teams in that next round kind of shit the bed a little bit. They were low
Yeah,
slow. They had that kind of bye week, sluggish coming out of the gate, going into a huge game. Basically treating it like a normal bowl game as opposed to a playoff. You got to go in there and, like I said, you got to be on your toes. That's why I think there's benefit to being in those earlier rounds, and you're already in the flow of, hey, we know what we're trying to do.
you can argue both ways,
Yeah,
honestly. I
absolutely.
think there's advantages and disadvantages to both. And
I
again, one
agree.
of the biggest disadvantages to me would be you're so late in the season.
Yeah,
Like that's one more opportunity to get dinged up, man.
it's true.
So you can make a case for either. Um, I got to be honest, I don't really know. I don't know which way I'd side on that,
Well,
just
it,
because
it,
of the
it was
situation.
it was just interesting to see the discussion. But I mean, if you're in a position where it's A&M and you are hosting a first round playoff game, beautiful. If you're on the road for a playoff game, less
Yeah,
ideal.
yeah, maybe that's where the caveat is. Yeah, is that hosting at home or is it away? Because if it's away, I'm out.
I mean, give me a late December getting into January game at Kyle Field. It's cool, bordering on cold outside. People are going to be feeling it. They're going to be in the elements, ready to
Yeah.
throw down with their team.
If it's at home, let me play in the first round. If it's
Yeah.
on the road, give me the bye.
Give me the buy all day long. All right. We do need to get rolling here. So I wanted to touch on, we talked about it last week. Get our picks out of the way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We both had good weeks last week. We pretty much picked the same, except for you picked the Sips.
Right. And that was once again because at the moment I didn't think Florida was capable of scoring points.
And yeah, 29 points was surprising,
Very,
especially against that elite defense. Um, but we both suck at predicting defensive, apparently.
apparently.
So yeah, Bama beats Vandy. Like I said, the Vandy's fairy tale kind of comes. I don't know if that's screeching to a halt, but Bama's just getting better every week. Miami pushes around Florida State. Tech beats Cougar High.
Yeah.
Uh, Sips go and lose in the swamp, and they go from ninth to unranked, fastest team to ever do it. And I sure would love for all of that energy they had for baseball season last year to be channeled this year into football. And then I
Shaq
had it at
Floyd.
14 and a half live on the broadcast. It jumped to 16 and a half. The Ags only win, but they cover. So I went perfect 5-0. You went 4-1 last week. That brings
And
your record to 18 and 14. I am 20 and 12. Telling you right now, if you're just betting straight up, listen to me. If you're betting the spreads, do not listen to me.
been cruising.
All right. So we're bringing these guys back. They had a game last week. The spread was kind of big, but it was just kind of one of those curiosity games with Bama and Pavia. But this time, Bama goes on the road to Columbia. It's number 8 Bama at number 14 Missouri. Bama is a 2.5 point favorite on the road. I think that says a lot considering what a lot of pundits and people think of Missouri for them to be dogs at home. Given so this is a neutral site. This is a touchdown game, is what they're saying to Bama.
And it opened at 5.5 to Bama.
Yeah, yeah. So it's come down.
It has come down a bit. Um, so the thing I look at with this game is looking at who Missouri is up to this point. So I believe if I read it right, Missouri's strength of record up to this point, basically what their strength of schedule was for the first portion of this season, was sub 100. I think it was like 107th or 108th. Like it's very, very low. Their back half, starting with this game through the rest of their SEC slate, is sitting at number 7. So you
I
will
believe
find out exactly who this Missouri team is starting this weekend.
by the
And
time we get to them.
By the time we get to them, we'll know well truly who Missouri is. Looking at who they have on their staff and how they've been rolling so far this season, it's hard to not like Mizzou. They've looked really good. They've been rushing the ball well. They've been passing the ball well. Um, Overall, they've had really solid defensive showings as well in each of their games. But their toughest game up to this point was either, depending on how you look at it, South Carolina, who is not quite who we thought they were going to be.
Boy, they're not, are they?
No, and then you have, and their other big win was a hard-fought game against their bitter rival, Kansas. And I once again will sit here and say this border war is amazing, because if you're into old school college football rivalries, that's a damn good one.
That's a great one. Yeah.
A great rivalry, not just for football, but basketball and everything else. But if we're talking strictly who I think is that team right now, it's Alabama. I mean, they have looked the part. They took care of business. They went on the road to Georgia and won again. They do what they do, which is win on the road in the SEC. They find ways to do that.
Yeah, they do
Uh,
what they do. They beat Kirby Smart.
they beat Kirby Smart, and they beat him on a regular basis. So, I mean, how does this game stack? I think it's Alabama. I think it's a tight game. I think Mizzou's in it for a good chunk of it, but I think Alabama does have a talent disparity that's going to benefit them.
I think Alabama ends up covering the opening line. I
I
think
think
that
they do too. Honestly, I think they win by a touchdown at least.
yeah, 7 to 10 points. I've got Bama as well.
Yep.
All right, we've got number 10, Uga, heading to Auburn. They are Uga's a 3.5 point favorite. This is one of the greatest rivalries in all of the country. It is literally called good old fashioned hate.
And we talk about gut checks, gut check time, and we said, for Auburn this week, that's what this is. Auburn coming into this game is definitely looking for something. It's a night game. I think they're doing like an orange out, like they're breaking out all orange for this game.
Surprising it's not a 2:30 slate. Well, no, it's not on CBS anymore. Yeah, that is the prime
Right.
time. Yeah, derp.
So night game at Jordan Hare, and we all know that things get a little hairy at night at Jordan Hare Stadium in the past, and Georgia has been involved in plenty of those.
Right. Well, and it just isn't quite the Georgia team I think we wanted to see. But at the same time, I mean, they lost to a Bama team that we know is surging. So
Right.
is Georgia the 10th ranked team, or are they probably maybe a little bit better than that?
Yeah, I think they are. I think Georgia's a very, very good team. And I do think, after they took care of business against Kentucky last week, their little get right game, they look good doing it. They kind of reset their feet. I think Georgia wins. I think they find a way to win on the road. I think Auburn's going to give them everything they got. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be potentially interesting, but I like Georgia.
I don't know that this is a tight game. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Auburn, quite frankly. So yeah, I've got Georgia.
I think with it being a night game and the high energy and the high emotion and that's going to play. But then again, Hugh Freeze said that his most frustrating game that he's had was against A&M offensively, which I think is quite humorous, and I love
Yeah,
it. And Georgia's defense is really good too. So
they
good
are.
luck.
Yep. All right, so I've got number 15, Michigan, going on the road to USC. USC is a 2.5 point favorite, which means this is basically a coin flip game. I
Uh,
still don't know how Michigan keeps winning because their quarterback. Uh, if you told me 175 and a half yards, more or less, or over under, I don't know at what I would pick with this guy, but he somehow seems to keep winning. Underwood, he just keeps winning. It's really, really weird. Um, I, when you travel from east to west, those teams generally win. When you travel from west to east, those teams generally lose.
yeah. And we did see that with USC's last matchup with Illinois, right? Tight game, good Illinois team, but they lose it.
But yeah, then you also talk about the UCLA game, and you're like, all right, well, maybe that adage doesn't really matter. I I don't know why I'm betting on them. I got to be honest. Well, I'm not betting. I'm betting on them. I'm just picking. But for some reason, they just seem to kind of accidentally keep winning. So I'm going to take Michigan. I'm like Big Blue. I think they go to the Coliseum. I think they get it done. I think it's probably a nail biter of a game. But I think Michigan, because they keep somehow finding ways to win in spite of their quarterback. And I was watching a little bit of the game, and the commentators were like, the phenom, Bryce Underwood. I'm like, phenom? That bro can't eclipse like 165 passing. Like if
Yeah.
all you do is run and you like, I'm not calling you a phenom, but I mean, his target, his accuracy is, man, it makes Arch look like his uncle.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I've got Michigan somehow finding a way to pull this off.
I think if I had to put a pick on it, I say the luck runs out.
Take Trojans.
Trojans.
All right. Next game, Red River Shootout. Number 6 OU playing the Sips. The Sips are 1.5 point favorites. And that is despite, like we said earlier, it's despite whether or not Mateer plays. This is simple for me. Oklahoma's defensive line is really good. Texas' offensive line is really bad. Arch Manning is going to be running for his life, which isn't a bad thing for him. I mean, he can scoot. He's slippery. He's fast. But there's just no way, man. I'm taking Boomer Sooner all day in this one.
So I will preface, I'm picking Oklahoma. I am picking Oklahoma. Do not be shocked if Texas turns around and comes out and has themselves a game.
Absolutely. This
That's
is
what my brain
another one of those rivalries. It
Yep.
truly doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll give you that. If Texas somehow figures out, if their defense figures out how to be elite, especially if Mateer's not playing, if
Right.
nothing else, it'll be just a rock fight.
It could be a nasty defensive game. But
Problem with the Sips though is now you also have Wisner injured, and not that he was the man when he was in. Again, I think we said this last week. He just hasn't been as good as I expected him to be.
yes.
Texas can't establish a run game. It's not going to matter who they play.
Right. So, yes, I am going to go with Oklahoma, but I would not be shocked if we are all shocked on Saturday with a response.
And Texas goes out and wins like 40-10. It's just one of those
Yeah.
echoes. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, fun little useless fact for this. So, I think what was it, the last 7 or 8 of these games, the team that's worn white won. And guess who's wearing white? Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was gonna say it should be. Yeah,
So, boomer.
it's a weird stat.
Yeah.
All right, so we already previewed our game. Florida coming in to Kyle Field, Ags, and this is the last I saw, and I just picked up ESPN. 7.5 point favorites against Florida. We previewed this. I think Lagway's lack of mobility is going to be a massive liability relative to our front seven and our scheming that we've seen over the last few weeks. I think Florida is, while their defense is good, we have way too many weapons. I think Marcel Reed gets loose a little this game. I think like the biggest problem we have in the running game is figuring out which running back we want to use. I think this game is not 7.5 points. I think this is closer to 10-14. I think the Ags come out and really flex this game because we've seen the defense be good. And we've seen the offense be good. This is the game where it all comes together, and they're going to come, and Florida's going to come in. And I'm predicting, like, if it all comes together, like I'm saying it's going to, like, this is going to be a blowout.
I hope my brain is praying for a strong, fast start with proper adjustments in the second half, and it's not even close. Reality's probably going to be a slow start, getting our feet under us like we tend to do. We come out second half and we largely run away with that game. I do think we score by multiple scores. I think Ags win and cover. Gig 'em.
Yeah.
I think Florida's a good team, a lot better team than they showed coming into this game against Texas. But I think A&M puts them right back where they're supposed to be in terms of where the discussion is. There's been a lot of talking, but we'll see how that goes. And on a side note, I think one of the things that really, really makes my heart happy is what I saw on the football field for this game. So we are going back to maroon end zones. They kept the script Aggies, and the beauty is they put double white stripes flanking it on both sides to match the shoulders, and it's got the old school ATM flanked above the SEC logos on the field.
Yeah, dude. We talk about athletics and the marketing and everything. The field crews have been
Crushing.
just as good this
Crushing.
year. Just absolutely crushing it. Yeah, so big shout out to them. My daughter doesn't listen to my podcast because why would she? Because her dad's a loser, right? But I went and grabbed her. I surprised her. I bought her one of the throwbacks.
I see. They're so good, aren't they?
Yeah, she's coming over. Well, so now she has like a standard 12th man. Yeah, she has our 12th man jersey. I bought her a black one last year.
Now she's got a
And
throwback.
now she's going to have a 75 throwback.
Love it. I looked at snagging one of those. I'll probably end up snagging one later when I get a chance. Or I'm kind of leaning towards that kind of off-white polo they got with the Adidas stripes down the sleeve with the maroon collar. Looks juicy.
Oh yeah, well I love the stuff with the trefoil, the old school Adidas. Love it.
Yes. It's so good. Well, and I think that that's been something cool that Adidas has been doing, not just for college athletics, but you've seen it even as far as like in the Premier League, because Liverpool's kits this year, we went back to Adidas for their third green kit. They have an old school Liverpool, football club badge on one side, and they do have the trifle over here on this side, which I was like,
It's
more of
sharp,
this, more of this for throwback uniforms. Do the throwback logo. People love that.
and that will be all the Premier League we will talk about.
Yes, that's all the Premier League we're talking about. I'm good. So we did have a couple questions.
Okay.
Jonna fired one in for us. She said, biggest challenge left on the schedule. And then would you rather eat a whole cake or drink a case of White Claw?
Well, I'd rather eat a whole cake. I'll start there.
Well, same. I feel that.
I would barf.
I'm gonna have to section it out because Sugar Rush can't do that.
I could no, not a case of White Claw. There would be a lot of projectile vomiting.
Yeah. Toughest game on the schedule.
I want to say it's Mizzou.
Me too.
On the road to Mizzou, again, this weekend playing Bama is going to tell us a little bit more as to where that game is. If Bama goes into Columbia and blows the doors off of Mizzou, then I think you have to say LSU.
And that's where my brain went. I'm thinking LSU because it's going to be at the end of this 5 game stretch in SEC play. It's
Yeah.
the very end of that stretch, and you're on the road. And in all reality, they're not out of the fight at all. They're going to be trying to get themselves positioned. So, and that's been a place we've struggled. So I think that is the game for me that I want to see us do very well in if we get, if we're still cruising at that point.
I just want to see us win in Baton Rouge.
Yes.
All right.
I'm all about that. Then Jive Coach G back this week said feelings of sports teams, NFL, soccer, college football, playing regular season home games abroad in the pursuit of bigger paychecks. Have we finally lost the plot and decided money is the main objective?
Money.
Also curious about how you feel about Graham Potter.
Glad he's gone.
There you go. So answer that.
Glad he's gone. It's a shame. I had high hopes for him, but you either perform or you get sacked. Which I wish more professional leagues were as quick to use that model, but other leagues, you talk about some of these contracts for coaches, it's untenable. What was the other question? Playing abroad. Yeah.
Losing the plot with these international games.
We've absolutely lost the plot, and you kind of answered your own question. It was always about money, but once they figure it out, I remember there was like that XFL Europe or NFL Europe, they were, trying to kick up, and it was kind of successful, but this goes back to the success of Premier League because of the broadcast rights that Peacock picked up to where now Americans watch Premier League. A lot more Americans. I would love to see a chart to show this because I guarantee you they've got these stats.
Way
but the spread of the Premier League in the United States has been amazing. And all the NFL executives did, and MLB's doing it, and what? NBA does it too, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody does.
Yeah, they looked at that and went, man, that's a really big contract with a lot of money.
Well, college football too.
Yeah, college football is doing it. College football is a little bit more for exposure than I think it is for money. But, I hate it. We've talked about this. I hate it. I think it's dumb, especially when you have people coming back from Europe and they don't get a bye week afterwards. It's just if you want to play overseas, fine, play overseas. I'm not a big fan of it. Like if Europeans really loved it that much, they would have supported an NFL Europe league
or just come here for the game.
Yeah.
Now on a slight, I guess, like adjacent here, another thing that I absolutely despise, and it just came out. So Baylor hosts Auburn this year, right? It's cool. On-campus game, SEC Big 12 matchup. It's a good game. The return trip's going to be in Atlanta. They're not going to play. It's so stupid. And all the Baylor fans are like, we wanted to go to Jordan Hare.
Jordan Hare is such a cool environment. It's such a cool experience. That's an absolute hose job.
Play
We're
home
you,
games on campus, please.
yeah, you and I are both college games need to be on campus. Like if you want to take the pros over, whatever, they're under contract. It's then I know we talk about NIL and stuff, but it's they're not students, all right? They're literally their living is to play football and be
Yeah,
good at football. It would be the same thing. Like, I don't want West Ham to come over the middle of the season and play in Kyle Field
that'd be dumb.
like this. And I think the Premier League has done a great job with the summer series.
I
It's
think
off
so.
season. You pick a handful of teams, you tour them around some cities, kick them back.
I
And if you
mean,
want to do something like that for football or like baseball or NBA, that's fine, but it shouldn't be happening in the regular season.
preseason games across the pond if that's what you want.
Fine.
Compromise.
Yeah, I don't like it in the regular season. I think it's too it's just too much on them. I mean,
Yeah.
traveling overseas is not easy.
No.
It's not easy on your internal clock, and these athletes are finely tuned. So yeah,
Mhm.
you want to play preseason, you want to play off-season crap, like go right ahead. If you think that you can sustain, like Europe can sustain an NFL Europe league, then stand it up. But
Actually,
otherwise,
yeah.
follow
Put
the
some
Premier
effort
League.
into it.
Yeah, otherwise follow the Premier League's model. Have a little summer series. Just a couple teams go over there that play for about a week and a half, play a couple games, and all of its exhibition, and then send them home. I'm not. Yeah,
Sounds
no,
good. All right, so I'm gonna plug in a couple little fun tidbits. So here in a couple weeks, I get to go to my first NFL game since 2012.
nice.
We're gonna go to Pittsburgh to watch the Steelers play against the Packers on Sunday Night Football, October 26th.
Oh, that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm excited because it's Aaron Rodgers and he's playing his old team and it's his last season. There's gonna be a lot of emotion. I'm excited for that game. Should be fun. And I have fun fact. Every year that me and my father have gone to a game in Pittsburgh when the Steelers have played in my lifetime, the Steelers have won the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
regardless of if they won the game or not. If we've been to a game in Pittsburgh, they win the Super Bowl.
Well,
And I know we don't really talk NFL on this podcast, but my God, I watched Monday Night Football the other day when the Jags pulled it off against the Chiefs, and that was hilarious how Trevor Lawrence won that game. Tripping
I
over him. Oh, so last play of the game, he trips over himself, like over a lineman, pops up because he wasn't at my contact, and ran it in for a touchdown against the Chiefs.
nice.
I'll show you the video later. It's incredible. But
Yeah, well, speaking of NFL, the Cowboys actually trying to figure this out. I don't know.
they're trying.
Until they get it figured out, my Sunday afternoons are still free.
Fair enough. Well, guys, we do appreciate you listening in. Be sure to check out the podcast on both Instagram and X. Be sure to follow us on there, of course. That's going to be Rob the Slapper on both, Roy May Jr. on Instagram, Roy May 15 on X. And of course, Red Ass Podcast. Be sure to like, comment, hit the bell icon to get notified when we're actually uploading. So this once again will go out today. We are excited for another big weekend. Want to have one last quick shout out. Volleyball.
Tough
Big,
match.
tough
That
match.
that is absolutely the number 3 team in the nation.
Yes,
Absolutely tip of the cap to the 12th man. Reed was packed for a volleyball match.
that was awesome.
I would have liked to at least get it to a fifth set, but their hitting percentage earlier in the third set was literally 0. So they just some stuff they got to work on. But again, Kentucky's legit, and you
Yeah,
kind of hung with them. I mean, so
that was good
it's
to
some
see.
little stuff, but there's a definite gap. But Jamie still got this thing moving in the right direction. I'm a firm believer that he's the guy.
And shout out to G. Guerrieri for beating Texas last week.
Yes, that was the most unexpected. Absolutely. I'll eat crow on that one. So,
I will too.
yeah, absolutely horns down for that one.
Put it on him. But thank y'all so much for listening, guys. It was a great week. It's about to be another great week. We've got a lot on the slate. Band's off. We're not going to be rolling again until next week. We're heading out to Helotes over at Floors, playing at Randall's King Fest. That'll be taking place out there. So we'll have more details on that as we get a little bit closer. The Burnout, our most recent single, is out everywhere. So please go listen to it. Make my heart happy. And we just got back from the studio working on a new song that'll come out after the record at some point, and we're excited about that one too.
There you go.
So all the good stuff.
Excited about doing a fish fry and doing deep fried gator as well on Saturday.
I mean, you gotta have deep fried gator against Florida, right?
Got to, as long as I can find it. I'm assuming Reedfields has it. So yeah, we're gonna have fried gator and do a fish fry and hush puppies and all that good fun stuff. And hopefully the weather's nice so I can open my window so my house doesn't smell like a deep fryer for 5 days.
Okay. So I'm gonna leave all y'all with this one. Shoot 'em, Mags. Shoot 'em.
Gig 'em. Gotta be the hell out of 'em.
All right, guys. I am Rob White. This is Roy May. We are the Red Ass Podcast. Take care. Thank y'all so much for listening in, and beat the ever living hell out of Florida. Gig 'em.